Hi there, it's Amy. I'm here today to do the book buying tag, so without further ado I will get straight into the questions which I have here on my notepad. So question number one is, where do you buy your books from? And I 95% of the time buy my books from shops on the high street. So this is primarily Waterstones in the UK. Only reason being for that is that I like to have a browse around bookshops. I can be in a bookshop for 2 to 3 hours, especially in Glasgow where I live, because there's a Waterstones on, I believe there's two of them, and there's one on Argyle Street, and I think there's the other one, the big one is on Sochi Hall Street, which has a cafe in the basement. So I will spend an hour and a half probably walking around the 3 floors they have, and then we'll spend another hour and a half to 2 hours in the cafe. I don't very often buy my books online or on Amazon. I just prefer the experience of going into a bookshop. Second question is, do you pre-order books? And I do not. I very rarely will pre-order books. I think the only one I did once was Harry Potter, and I think it was Deathly Hallows. I just don't get the hype around having to read it as soon as it comes out. I know if I'm going to read it, I will pick up eventually. And I'm not too bothered about when I get to it. I just like the idea that I will get to it in my own time. Question number 3 is, how many books do I buy a month? I used to buy quite a lot, and when I first started my job, I started my professional job in last year in September. I was obviously getting paid a lot more than I ever had for the rest of my life, so I was spending about £50–60 on books the first 3 or 4 months, which was about 6 or 7 books, and that was a pleasure, and I really enjoyed doing that. Now I probably buy 2 to 3 books, and that's mainly picking up books in a series that I'm currently reading, and it's not usually impulse buying. So this month I think I've bought 2, and we're halfway through the month, and that's kind of a general average. The fourth question is, do you use the library? And now I used to a lot when I was a kid, but for the books I read, the library often doesn't stock the ones I want to read. I did go to the Mitchell Library in Glasgow, but I didn't find a lot there. I probably got a couple of graphic novels just because I don't often buy them. But I just find the process of getting into the centre of Glasgow and back just to hand books back a bit of a faff, so I don't really often go to the library, if I'm honest. The fifth question is, if so, how many books do you take out at a time? Obviously I don't go very often, so I can't really answer that, so pass. What's my opinion on library books? I would love to be able to take out more library books than I do. But I do find it really intimidating having my own TBR pile and then having books that have a timestamp on them, such as library books that I have to take back, just because I'm a big mood reader. So I like the fact that my TBR pile, which is just behind me, I can like pick and choose, and thus why my like TBR videos, although kind of will reflect what I will read, there will be a couple that I will pull in pull out and put other books in, because I like to be able to change my mind. So library books might have a bit of a effect on that, in a sense. Sorry, I waffled a lot through that bit then. The next question is, what is my feeling about secondhand books? And I went for a spat, and I still do quite regularly go into like charity shops and secondhand bookshops and have a look around, and will pick up any books that I find, you know, cheap and that are in good condition. My one thing is that I would prefer them to be in good condition, so I don't often like a heavily damaged spine or like torn pages or anything like that. So usually I'll pick up some, and I'm fully in support of buying and passing around books, so I really like secondhand books. Next question is, do you keep your read books and TBR pile together? No. So I like to keep my books really organised. So I'm down, as I said before, on business in South London. So all the books that I have read are back in Glasgow and in storage as well, because we're in between moves. So I only brought my TBR pile down with me, so at the moment my TBR pile is completely separate. And also, if I move you around, you can just see behind my roses, that's my red pile. So when I've read books, I physically move them out of the way. Let me pull you around. Out of the way, because I like to be able to focus on what I have left to read out of my books here. Next question is, do I plan to read all the books I own? That's kind of the point for me, and for any other people. I buy books to read them, and I would like to read all the books I own, because I've obviously bought them for a genuine reason of wanting to read them, so kind of another question. Next question is, what do you do with the books that you own but you feel you'll never read or not want to read anymore? I do regular culls of my books. So of the books over there that I've read, I will only keep books that I actually enjoyed reading and have an emotional attachment to. So that often means only 4 or 5 star reads I will keep unless they're in a series. So for example, I read a Hemingway last month and I'm holding on to that at the moment just because I have a collection of Hemingways. But I feel like I probably will cull The Snows of Kilimanjaro quite soon because I didn't particularly love it. Also, I don't really mind getting rid of books I haven't read yet. So I got rid of quite a few books recently, and I gave them to friends that I knew I wouldn't read, and I just didn't like the pressure of having on my TBR pile, because if I'm not going to read them, I'm not going to enjoy them, what's the point in having the pressure of a higher number of books to read? So I'm quite scathing with what I keep in my collection. The next point is, have I ever donated books? Obviously, from the last question, you can guess that yes, I do. And I do it via a variety of means. So I will give books to friends, I will sell books. So there's a couple of apps and companies called Music Magpie and Zipfit in the UK, where I will scan books in and then it will give you a total, and then you kind of wrap them up and then give them to a local shop and they'll send them on for you. I got quite a lot of money from my history books when I did my 2 degrees, and the ones I didn't want to keep, because they were textbooks, I was able to get quite a lot of money out of them. So where I can, I try and get some money back to put back into new books that I want to buy, or I'll just donate them to charity shops, either way. The next question is, have I ever been on a book buying ban? Not really. I had an idea of trying to enforce myself to have one, just because I went through a period of having a lot of books unread and I kept buying books and not really reading them, and it was an endless cycle. But really, the more I try and make myself not buy books, the more I end up just buying them, so screw it, if I'm honest. If it's what I find pleasure in doing, then I'm just going to do it, and at some point I will, you know, get my books down to the place I want them to be, but there's no point putting any, you know, stress or ill meaning around the buying of books, because it should be a pleasure, and it is a pleasure for me. And the last question is, do you feel that you buy too many books? No, not really. And like I said in the last one, is there such thing as too many books? I guess there is, and I do wish to get my TBR down to a certain number, but if I want to buy a book and I want it enough, I will buy it. I'm not one of those where I will walk past a book that I want and not pick it up just because I feel like I shouldn't, because that's not really the point to me. So no, I don't feel like I buy too many books, and it's definitely come down recently, where I've become more infused to read my TBR because that's all I've got on hand. So yeah. So those were the answers to the book buying tag, and I'm just curious to see what you guys might think. So if anyone's out there watching, feel free to pop something down in the comments below about what you feel about my answers and what maybe you think in comparison and what you do. It'd be really interesting to see other opinions, because it's always interesting to listen to what other, you know, book lovers do and their routines with their books. So, alright, I will see you in the next video. Bye guys.